If you pick any of the players that I'm about to mention, you might as well write home, because you're not bringing the trophy with you. T. Higgins is the first guy that we're going to be talking about. Why? T. Higgins is an ADP of 29. We're talking about best ball redraft dynasty today. These guys suck all across the board. T. Higgins, wide receiver 2. The second wide receiver on his team. He has no chance to be the alpha when you have the number 1 selection in a lot of formats. Unless you're in a Superflex Dynasty format, Jamar Chase is the 101 in every single league. Best ball, redraft for sure, and then a lot of different Dynasty formats, he's the 101. And he's the 101 on ESPN ADP. T. Higgins is ADP 29. The guys he's going around. Lad McConkey is ADP of 30. Tyreek Hill, 31. Rashee Rice. Now, Rashee Rice, whole different conversation. I'm not a big fan of his current ADP. But what I'm trying to say is that he is not the wide receiver 1 on his team, has no chance to be the wide receiver 1 on his team, and let's not act like T. Higgins doesn't have health concerns. He played 12 games the last 2 years each. This guy's been missing time. And also, in 2022, in 2023, he only averaged 12 PPR points per game. Yes, he had the best year of his career, wide receiver 6 in points per game at 18.5. Now, he did have 2 times as many touchdowns per game as he did every other year in his 5-year career. So T. Higgins, I do believe, is a bit way too overvalued. His yards per route run was 2.07. That's the 3rd best mark of his career. So what was the main contributing factor? Touchdowns. We're gonna see touchdown regression. Let's just say the Bengals defense. Maybe the Bengals defense gets better. I don't know what it's gonna be, but T. Higgins at 29, there are better values out there. Number 2, man, I hope you didn't draft this guy. Xavier Worthy. Now, Xavier Worthy in Dynasty looks all right, but probably not at the current price. So in best ball, Xavier Worthy is ADP of 50. Now, he is a falling value. I have seen Xavier Worthy drop about 10 spots in ADP throughout the offseason so far. So he was going around ADP of 40, which I completely hated. Now at 50, it's a bit more believable, a bit more buy-inable. Looking at him in a redraft, ESPN ADP, Xavier Worthy, ADP of 48. They have him ranked ahead of Zay Flowers, ahead of Cortland Sutton, ahead of Devontae Smith, ahead of the GOAT, Calvin Ridley, one of my big sleepers, ahead of Jameson Williams, ahead of Jerry Jeudy. I like all those guys better. Why? Xavier Worthy did have a good rookie season for expectations. Again, he was supposed to be a nobody. Marquise Brown goes down. Rashee Rice goes down. Travis Kelce sucks. Xavier Worthy takes on extra load. But looking at his underlying stats, 1.32 yards per out run. About 1 touchdown every 2.5 games, so he actually did have, a better touchdown rate than Puka Nacua. But even with all of those numbers, right, he only averaged 37 yards a game receiving, only 3 receptions per game, only 11 PPR points per game on average. This guy didn't really do anything that was so, oh my God, I love Xavier Worthy. Guys, in week 15, 16, 17, Xavier Worthy had 20 points, 21 points, and 23 points. In that 3-game stretch, Xavier Worthy single-handedly has boosted his, draft stock. And listen, don't be deceived. What happens is, in those final 3 weeks that Xavier Worthy played, basically he won people a lot of money. He won people their fantasy football championship. So everyone's like, man, I love Xavier Worthy. Listen, guys, he didn't win me any money. I traded him. I traded him halfway through the season, and actually it was a good trade. It ended up being a good trade for me. But what I'm trying to say is that Xavier Worthy's stock is way too boosted. He's not even going to be the wide receiver 1 on his team with Rashee Rice there. He's probably not. Xavier Worthy could be the 4th option, realistically. Hollywood Brown is back. Rashee Rice is back. Travis Kelce. I think Travis Kelce, he potentially is going to have a better role this year as well. So I'm staying away from Xavier Worthy at price. I'll go with alpha wide receivers with wide receiver 1 potential on their team. Number 3, Rome Odunze. Why? Well, in best ball, Rome Odunze is ADP of 63. In a redraft league, let's see what his price is, ADP of 64. Oh my God, you have Rome Odunze priced ahead of Ted McMillan, ahead of Travis Hunter. Oh my God. I'm speechless. The Sheep are buying 1.3 yards per out run in his rookie season. 1 touchdown every 5 games. Trash. 40 receiving yards per game. Trash. 8.5. You heard it correct. 8.5 PPR points per game. This guy sucked. Now they bring in the good news. They bring in Luther Burden. They bring in Colston Loveland. Oh wait, that's all bad news because his target share is going to go down. This guy could be the wide receiver 4. This is the 4th option in his offense behind Loveland, behind DJ Moore, behind Luther Burden. I absolutely have hated Rome Odunze last year, and I was right, and I hate Rome Odunze this year. Now, you might be saying, yes, top 10 draft capital wide receivers have an insanely high, hit rate on being fantasy viable. I could care less. I ain't taking Ruben Dunze ahead of Ted McMillan. I ain't taking him ahead of Travis Hunter. You thought you would trick me into doing that. Next name is Jordan Addison. Now, Jordan Addison, 13 PPR points per game in his rookie season, 14.1 PPR points per game in 2024. He is going to have a new quarterback, the new quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy. Jordan Addison has always averaged more than one touchdown every 2 games. His yards per route run was actually a bit better last year, 1.77, which isn't great. Target share was around 21.4%. Jordan Addison actually isn't bad. Now, his ADP is 63 on Best Ball. In a tier of dusty wide receivers, I think Jordan Addison actually might be the best selection. In a redraft league, his ADP is 73. He's going around Jacoby Myers, Chris Godwin, Olave, Matthew Golden. I think he's actually pretty fairly priced. Oh, wait. He's not, because he's going to be suspended for the first 3 games of the season. Yeah, you heard that right. Jordan Addison's ADP, I believe, when we get the suspension news, he's currently ADP of, let's call it 70. Yeah, wham, bam, see you later, ma'am. I see Jordan Addison going off boards around 120. So I think his ADP is going to drop around 40, 50 spots when we get the suspension news, when we get the clarity on his, court case, which, gotta say the word alleged, I ain't going to jail, he is, right? Final name. Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk has an ADP of 86 on Best Ball. Brandon Ayuk on ESPN. Let's pull that up. Brandon Ayuk, start scrolling, baby. Oh, wait, you don't have to scroll too much because his ADP is higher than it probably should be. Although, actually, it's not. So, in a redraft league, Brandon Ayuk is ADP of 137. They have him one spot ahead of Igbuka at 130. I'd rather have Igbuka. They have him ahead of Trey Harris. They have him, he actually might be pretty fairly priced at 137. I think his ADP could go even further. In Best Ball, he's at ADP of 87. 86, 85.5. Holy. Listen, Brandon Ayuk, okay. Brandon Ayuk has upside. Brandon Ayuk looks like he's going to be out for the first 4 games of the year on the PUP list. That means physically unable to play. That means RIP to the dream. You're not going to want to have any shares of Brandon Ayuk because once the news about the PUP list hits, Ayuk will instantly go from ADP 86 back to probably ADP 150 or even more to kind of match where his current ESPN Redraft League ADP is. I like Pearsall more than Brandon Ayuk. I don't really like Pearsall's price. My main 49er that I like is George Kittle as well as CMC because I think CMC could have a very involved receiving role. Don't touch any of those guys with a 5-foot pole. Don't touch him with a 3-foot pole, and definitely don't press the draft button. The daft button, bro. You might as well Daffy Duck. Don't draft any of those guys. Smash like and subscribe button, boys. You want to see more? Let me know. Peace.